Hello and welcome to the favourite football podcast. I'm James Killick, and with me tonight are Benjamin Howard.
Yo.
Daniel Fitzpatrick.
Hello there.
Ellis Ballard.
Hi.
And James England.
Hi.
Happy New Year to you all. Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Watch more football.
Watch more football, good. Anyone else?
Kind of wait. Same as every year. The last 20 years has been the same. So
that's a good one.
This year could be the year.
Daniel?
Be better mates with Ellis.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
Shut up, Ellis.
It was still working on
it. It's not off to a good start, is it? And of course, a massive Happy New Year to our listeners. So just before we begin, we're going to read out a review. Thanks so much for leaving them recently. We've got a load through. So keep sending them. If you haven't left one yet, please do leave us preferably a 5-star and something nice. And that gives you a chance of being read out. Just like Slaney Boy, who left a 5-star. The title is fantastic. And it's love listening to these bunch of Geeseburgers Litty McVitty podcast. So, thanks so much.
Bloody hell. Who even wrote that?
Slaney Boy.
Clearly, we did just say that.
And he's listening to us, so please. Alright, let's get into the action then, shall we? So the first game we're going to start with is the one actually we just watched a little while ago. So we're going to start with Chelsea 1, Manchester City 3. Ellis, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a complete reflection of where the two teams are at, I think. You know, Man City aren't properly setting anything alight at the moment, but we all know what they're capable of if they just decide to show up. And Chelsea, yeah, I mean, they look a bit rocky, I suppose, but I don't know how much shame there is really losing to this City team when they feel like playing. They're hard to stop. But Chelsea need to create more. That's like a common theme in all their recent matches, considering the sort of attackers they have these days. They're just not creating enough. But yeah, I mean, City could go to Anfield and win 3-1. Like, that could happen. They're just a good team when they feel like playing. So, is what it is, really.
I totally didn't expect City to win after all the news about all the players they had out, but no, they do have a big squad, so clearly nothing, no water off their back, is it?
And I think, you know, regardless of the players that were out, if De Bruyne wants to play and if Sterling's on form, and even like Gundogan's goal, I think was my favourite. It was lovely.
Yeah, old turn before was stunning.
Yeah,
annoying
that first touch to set him up, beautiful. So yeah, they're just a good team. I think, you know, it looks like we're in some sort of crisis mode for Chelsea. I don't even know if we are really. I was talking to a mate of mine during the week, and he said when Arsenal were like, you know, proper doom and gloom and people were talking about relegation or whatever, they were only 6 points behind Chelsea, who were only 6 points off the top. Like, it feels like literally you're only ever 2 wins away from like a mega, you know, from being everyone's flavour of the month or from being like mega disaster zone. So Chelsea have dropped some points recently, but I've no doubt they'll go on a little run. They'll compete for top 4 at least. Like, I don't know, they're not doing that bad. Their squad's too good to climb it down the table. We will just sort of jump on a bit of a bandwagon.
Yeah, it's week to week at the moment, isn't it? In terms of the teams, and I think also because it's so congested, we started at a weird time, and even the games being at weird times, you are constantly looking at the table, aren't you? It's almost like you're never really sure where anyone is, and then you look at the table and you go, "Oh my God, they're now 5th." Well, for example, Man City are now 5th, you know, and obviously people were saying when they were lower down, are they in some sort of crisis when Pep signed the deal, etc. So it can change quickly. But obviously, let's concentrate more on Manchester City. It was a very good performance, wasn't it? And you mentioned Gundogan's goal, but also Foden's goal was lovely, wasn't it? And they toyed with that Chelsea defence at times.
Yeah, I think. You know, I guess it's you know 50-50 in terms of was it bad defending by Chelsea or just great play by City? Because that Foden goal, especially, as much as his finish was beautiful, it looked really, really simple. I'm not exactly sure what the Chelsea defenders.
It was both. I think it was both. Silva should be like a metre over. I was just stupid that he wasn't there, but at the same time, what a ball to get there in the first place and see that opening.
And then like Foden's finish was like tucked right up against that near post. I guess as a goalie, you never want to get beat in your post, but that was pretty.
Yeah, I mean, Mendy had some great saves that game. He has had some great saves there, but you can't do it all. And actually, on paper, that whole team, if you ask me to set up my ideal Chelsea team at the moment, what he put out, maybe Kovacic in and out as a sub, whichever, that looks like my ideal team, how that's set up. I would have thought we would have gone there and we would have given them a run for the money. But we didn't. We didn't attack after the first 10 minutes, really. I didn't see any chances. We didn't defend. Which is weird again because our defence, we haven't got Ericsson and we haven't got Hutchinson and anything like that. So I thought that would be a stronger defence than we, can have.
And I guess from a City perspective, like De Bruyne was almost playing that false 9 striker role, wasn't he? Which is weird.
Scary, really, really scary.
But I mean, he's so quality. You can stick him anywhere in midfield, or I'm sure he could play on the wing and do a job. Like,
imagine if we kept him. What a scary thought.
What do you think, Ben? What do you think of the game?
Oh, here we go.
No, otherwise I might get accused by England again of patronising or messing with Chelsea. But I think Chelsea are pretty much second best. Obviously, what England was saying was if that was the ideal Chelsea lineup, what he wanted, he got it. And I think quite a few of us thought that because obviously we wanted to see Werner in the middle and Pulisic and Ziyech on the wings, and it just didn't really click. And I'm not sure why. I guess maybe is it tactical reasons by Lampard, or is it having too many options for him? Because obviously he had Havertz on the bench, he got Jorginho on the bench as well, Giroud, and maybe it is a matter of maybe he doesn't know what his best 11 is or the way he wants to play football with. Because with Werner, he's not going to be able to hold the ball up, and he needs them balls over the top of through so he can run onto them and lash onto them. And Kante, his best role is a CDM role. Aspilicueta, I don't think he has the legs at right back no more, and we obviously associated with this Chelsea team being quite solid at the back in the early season, but now they're shipping in goals and they've got 4 points out of 18, and that's not really Champions League form, if I'm being honest, from Chelsea's part. And it's kind of a bit, like I said again, it seems like Lampard doesn't really know what to do with this Chelsea squad. It feels a bit like too many players and too many decisions to be made.
It doesn't look like that team that we've had today has ever played that formation before. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look like we've trained like it. It looks like it was like a last-minute adjustment. It looks like you're down a pub and you've gone on a napkin. That's what it looks like.
You're making changes, aren't you, amongst your team? Because obviously, slightly different lineup. I mean, obviously, you say Werner down the middle, etc. So things were different. But if you look at obviously the last, as Ben said, they're the last 5 games, 3 losses, just 1 win and 1 draw. I mean, it's not good, is it? And you know, they have spent the money to compete with the bigger teams, but I mean, they lost against Arsenal, didn't they? And Arsenal were in horrendous form.
Well, of course, you bring that up.
Yeah, you know. But
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong.
They need to be better, don't they? I think with that squad, I think it is a good squad. Okay, fair enough against City, as we said today. Potentially,
but
shouldn't have won that. But the other teams, I mean, they should be batting away some teams you'd expect.
I think it's still too early. This is what I said like before the season probably even started. This isn't the year for Chelsea. That squad has changed so much that like they might go on a few runs and get a bit hyped, and then they might go on a few runs and lose some matches. Like it's just going to be one of those seasons for Chelsea. It's too early to judge them with this squad. Next year will be a big year for them.
But I was expecting more for them today, though, especially against this City side. Obviously, they didn't have the game before because it's postponed. I'm not sure why it's postponed if they can play this game, so why couldn't they play the last game? But that's a different topic. But you see the players they got in Stefan, he's not really been tested in Premier League. Maybe Chelsea should have done a bit more of a go at him. Zinchenko, he's suspect at left back sometimes. Rodri, we haven't seen the best of. Foden, still very good, but up and coming still. Bernardo Silva, who's been in and out. And I'm surprised Chelsea didn't really give it a bit more of a go against them, considering how many people they had out.
To be honest, though, everyone you just named, apart from the goalie, I think are wicked players. And when they show up, they're awesome. Foden's unreal. Rodri's been good. Zinchenko is like as good an option at left back as they have, in my opinion. And they all just showed up and played really well. And F Chelsea over. That happens.
I think we're also under the pump a bit more because had we had these kind of games pre-January, we would have said, well, lots of players in, trying to settle in, trying to find it. But because we went on a bit of a run of not conceding and winning games or drawing, because there's kind of been the opposite way around you would expect, I think that's why we're kind of up for a bit more.
Yeah, I think expectations kind of increased because you did have a really good run and the defense put itself out and blah blah. But yeah, for me it's too early days. So much has changed. We'll give it a year at least.
Yeah, and we've obviously still got over 20 games to go, so a long way to go. Let's move on to the next game then, shall we? Daniel, I'll come to you on this one. It was Brighton 3, Wolves 3. Daniel, you said you were unhappy with Wolves.
Yeah, I was actually. Very unhappy.
What upset you? It's a safe space.
I had a bet on it.
Oh, there we go. And I thought it was about the football.
It was a treble, and, Wolves are dead, will let me down. But, they went Brighton. went 1-0 up against them. It was quite a good goal from Connolly, actually. And then came to Wolves just to make a good old comeback. Got for half time. They were up 3-1, weren't they?
Yeah, but wasn't it? Well, it's basically a deflection, isn't it? Not deflection. It's basically a penalty, wasn't it? And
depending on your own goal,
basically
came
3-1. Had such a good first half after that, after conceding first. When they came out the second half and they're just atrocious.
But were they good, or does Brighton have a really bad 20-30 minutes?
I don't know.
I didn't see many chances when I watched it. I just thought
I feel like Wolves had the first half, Brighton had the second half, but you can't lose a 3-1 lead. That's embarrassing.
If Burns was off the pitch, if Burns didn't play, and the own goal didn't count the penalty, do you think it would be 3-1, wouldn't it? It'd be 3-1 to Brighton.
And he was up against bloody Traore, and isn't he the left back that's like 6'7" or something?
Yeah, he's huge.
Up against Traore, like, come on.
Made Traore look like a little boy, which is strange because he's a brick shit house.
I mean that he's so rapid and he's so good with the ball at his feet. Like, he was obviously going to terrorise someone like Burnley doesn't have that mobility.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned Wolves, obviously, and Brighton, actually, two teams this year that maybe haven't given quite what we expect. As we say, we're caveating everything by saying it's early in the season, but when you see Wolves that now the games are sort of evened out a bit, they're behind Leeds, West Ham, I mean, even Southampton after their last season. I know we spoke about Jimenez, but yeah, to let that lead go, disappointing.
Did they need a striker in this window?
Well, they've been linked to Diego Costa, haven't they? Obviously, his contract was terminated at Atletico Madrid. That's a potential if they want to bring him in, but he's not the player he was. Clearly, his numbers at Atletico Madrid were nowhere near the prime of Chelsea. I'm not sure actually. He must be 30.
He's about 50, and Diego Costa.
He looks 50.
He was 50 when he made his debut, I think. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. But I'm sure they'll be okay. And Wolves, they are an established Premier League team. No chance of going down or anything. So. Not so bad, but if we look at Brighton, obviously they play 2 more games than Fulham underneath them, and they've got 3 more points. Graham Potter didn't seem too happy at the end of the game, did he? Sort of went straight off. It's difficult times for Brighton, Ben, and I'm sure you're feeling sorrow.
I fucking love it.
Hey, come on, stay neutral.
Well, trying to beat a neutral here, but I've said it, but 2020 wasn't a good year for Brighton. They didn't hardly won at all in 2020, and again, people are saying, but they play nice football though, but that doesn't really get you anywhere at times if you just play nice football. If they're not getting the points to match that, then why are people saying he's doing a good job when they're full from bottom, hardly had any wins in 2020, Fulham win those 2 games in hand, and Brighton are bottom 3? Maybe, and I think people maybe compliment Brighton too much because they play this nice football which is appealing on the eye, but if you can't defend or you can't score, that's why it's so shocking. Wolves getting 3-1 leads, slide to 3-3 because Brighton hardly score any goals, and it's such a shock that happened. And I don't know where this praise for Brighton comes from.
Well, they won one home game in 2020,
and that exactly.
Yeah, be a Brighton fan, wouldn't you?
Well, I think it's because obviously under Chris Hughton, although Chris Hughton is a good manager and they obviously stayed in the Premier League, that they were seen as a more defensive team, weren't they? And then he sort of flipped it to make them more offensive, and I think generally that's what neutral fans like, a team that goes forward. And I guess most teams don't actually give a shit if Brighton go down or not. Most fans don't give a shit. So I guess they want to just see better football from teams, don't they? And maybe that's why he gets the credit, and also because of his stories, and he's got an interesting story, obviously going to Sweden and working his way up from there, etc., coming over here and then obviously ending up at Brighton. I think he's got a little bit of a story. He does have some credit in the bank, but of course, later on in the season that will diminish very quickly, won't it, if they don't get out of this situation, because they're under Newcastle, who are a crisis club, Burnley, who just having several issues. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But let's move on from there then to West Brom 0, Arsenal 4. Who wants to start?
Salivating. I can hear you salivating.
Yeah, go on, James Killick. What's your thoughts on it, mate?
Take the lead, Killick.
Obviously, I'm happy. I'm trying to think the last time obviously we did the podcast. I think it was Ben singing about relegation. I can't remember. No, but obviously it's been a good turnaround for Arsenal, isn't it? And I'm going to stay neutral, of course, but has looked better, hasn't it? Played some of the younger players, and it's starting to show a bit more energy, more chances being created, and it's been better, hasn't it?
Well, it's because you got written in a 25% cut if you got Championship on the pay sheet, so that'll light a fire underneath any footballer, I imagine.
I think as well, was it against Chelsea? You had to drop a bunch of people. I think Aubameyang was injured. A few people were out because of COVID, weren't they? So you were actually forced to start like Smith Rowe and a few other options that weren't really getting minutes before that. But I think that actually has sort of really worked in your favour, isn't it? It just took that change of personnel, some different brains, some like fresh perspectives or whatever, and now they're doing bits. And Saka especially, what a player, man!
It's scary.
So good on the ball, isn't he? So composed, yeah. And he's obviously, the last game against West Brom as well, he switched onto the other side because Tierney's obviously extremely creative on that left-hand side, and that's where Saka was as well when he was playing left wing. And I don't think it particularly worked, and they put Saka on the right wing, obviously with Emil Smith-Rowe as well. Who I mentioned a few weeks ago because I said that he was in the Premier League squad and Ozil wasn't. But he has looked good. It's only a few games. You need to be careful because people are saying, the young guns have turned it round and this is the future and all that. But I think you need to be careful, really.
Yeah.
Because, it's 3 games, isn't it?
It's crazy how quickly the hype train just like starts rolling, innit? That's what I was saying earlier about Arsenal has it been like 2 or 3 good results now?
3 results, 3 wins in a row now, yeah.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's like Arteta's a genius, and in all his press conferences he's like really smiley and happy, whereas up until now he's looked like, the saddest bloke on earth. I don't know. We'll see what happens, because all it takes is another loss and like everything switches around, innit? I think it's just the media. I think they need something to write about every week, so...
I think he's had to adapt though, Arteta, because what we were seeing beforehand, it seemed a bit too passive and defensive, and I think the spark of having them youngsters in the team and the injection of Martinelli back as well, where you've got that pace and energy up the field, I think that's helped Arsenal a lot. And I think Mari the last 3 games have looked good as well at centre back.
Yeah.
They look hungry, don't they? They look confident. Someone compared them to like the Invincibles. Obviously, they're nowhere near that. But in terms of the goals they scored today, it was a commentary. It was commentary. But they were saying, well, let me finish. It was the goals they scored, top left to Tierney and stuff like that. The 1-2 play and stuff they were comparing to, kind of Bergkamp and Henry.
Well, the last few games...
I can see that.
Well,
I'm not saying this is good. I'm just saying the play today was... You could
what
see
was I just saying about a hype train? They've won 3 matches.
I'm not saying they're going to win the title, mate.
England.
I'm saying the play today was good.
It's definitely better because, of course, for a while we saw a few games we just kept floating balls into the box. Arsenal kept putting these balls in which no one was getting to. It just wasn't working at all. But we saw Aubameyang, obviously he was sort of behind a little bit more at times yesterday. I don't actually think that was the worst thing that could have happened. I think it was okay. It took the pressure off him a little bit, and Lacazette's obviously scored in the last few games, hasn't he? And he's turned that around because he just looked completely out of sorts for so long, but he's certainly benefiting. And as a target man, obviously he's not the typical big target man, is he? But he does hold up the ball and he can move it on when he's in that form. And I guess we'll just have to see how it continues. A caveat again. Go on.
My question is there a place in the squad for both Lacazette and Aubameyang to work together properly, or is it one or the other?
There never has
eventually.
Been. Really has. I think that's been the big issue, hasn't it? Because Aubameyang's not a winger. Lacazette certainly isn't a winger. So what do you do? But it's looking better. We'll have to see. Let's look at West Brom though. This is tricky, isn't it? They've had 2 very heavy defeats, haven't they? West Brom under Big Sam.
Yeah, it really winds me up because they they got a clean sheet and a point at Anfield, and then they went on to lose like 4-0, and then they lost to Leeds. Was it 4-0 as well?
5-0, yeah.
5-0. Man, how did we not beat them at Anfield? Anyway.
Terrible, that's why.
Yeah. West Team in the league, mate.
He's got a massive job on his hands, isn't he? And if you look at some of the clubs he's managed, obviously he's never been relegated. But if we just look through some of the ones, the survival ones, the famous ones, obviously Everton, they were a team that was underachieving so much, weren't they? And he brought them obviously up to a very good level, did a good job. Crystal Palace, good team underperforming. He comes in, makes them better. But when you see this team, they are probably the 19th best team in the league at the moment, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? He's going to have to make some serious signings, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the key. I think their options are just absolutely not there. I think at halftime they brought on Charlie Austin, who, at one point I really liked, but I don't think he's anywhere near Premier League standard anymore. I think, but we've seen it time and time again with relegation battles. It only takes one or two really nice signings that it just sparks something, and they just go on and get 7 or 10 goals from January to the end of the season, and it can turn it all around. But they definitely will need one of those. I don't know who it'll be.
Do you think, Ben, that they need to get a striker, even if they can just get someone on loan just for 6 months? Because permanently, you're probably not going to want to go there now, are they? But Sam Allardyce made comments that they don't have a goal scorer. And it's true, isn't it? If you look at their attacking options, as Ellis just mentioned about Charlie Austin, but some of their other players as well, Ben, do you think they need to...
I think it's both ends. If you look at it, they've conceded 39 goals in the Premier League this year. So obviously, you imagine Sam Allardyce would improve that. But they've conceded 10 goals in 3 games. So there's issues at the back and there's issues up front as well. So I think they need a good centre back and they need a goal scorer as well. And if they're going to get that in January, I don't know, because January is sometimes the hardest place to do business unless it's the last day. I think the only time we've ever seen a crazy January was the year of Fernando Torres going to Chelsea and that. But yeah, it's going to be very hard for West Brom to try and convince anyone to want to go there and be that leading striker or be that leading centre back that they need, because like you said, they're the 19th worst team, conceded the most goals, second least goals as well behind Sheffield United, and it's a bit like, who would want to go there at this moment? And I think maybe Sam Allardyce has bitten more off than he can chew.
It's going to be harder as well, isn't it, with COVID going on? And it's going to be they're going to quarantine. If they do sign someone, that's going to affect people's choices. It's near impossible, I think.
Do you think there's a shortage of really good strikers at the moment, just in general, even amongst the top teams? I'm thinking even at Liverpool, the people that score our goals aren't really strikers. And then at Chelsea, you've got this Werner guy who doesn't really fit as a striker properly either. At Arsenal, Laka and Aubameyang either don't play as strikers or aren't really scoring. Even at City, Aguero never plays, Jesus doesn't score, all that. Do you know what I mean? I can't think in the league at the moment who even is a wicked out-and-out striker. I guess Vardy. Yeah, he's the one that sticks out.
Yeah, I think
that's there, mate.
Well, Kane as well.
Kane,
he's assisting a lot more than goals as well.
Yeah, even he's playing more like a number 10 sometimes. But I think my point is, if those top teams can't find good Premier League goal scorers, how's West Brom going to find one?
Is it strikers though, or is it tactics?
No, they need a striker. For sure they need a striker. What was it? Robson Carnuzzi still there? I mean...
he's living off that Wales goal still, he is.
I know, that's the only reason he got the contract, to be working in fucking Asda otherwise. And obviously you had Charlie Austin, as you mentioned, not good enough. They need someone. And if you look at teams in the past, if you're looking at the struggling Sunderland team, you had Jermaine Defoe, didn't you? And you can sort of put your finger on these teams who are struggling, and you go, at least they had that guy who could put the ball in the net. You look at that team and you just think, fucking hell, that is bad. So they're going to need to do something. But as you say, with COVID, could be it. Dan, do you think they're a cert for relegation? Do you think they can do anything? Should they take Haller on loan?
All they can do is, take him. He'll be a good championship striker, I think. No, I think I think they're going down.
Really?
And after they got rid of Bilic for no reason. Bye-bye, West Brom. Bye-bye.
No, you got a soft spot for Bilic, haven't you?
Super Slav.
He made some good comments about Big Sam before Slav, actually. I'm going to paraphrase, but I think it was when he got the England job and he was sort of speaking him up and he was sort of saying, Big Sam, he takes up the screen, this sort of thing. And I just thought that is the weirdest shit I've ever heard. But
he's not wrong though.
He's basically saying he's fat.
I think so.
You're going to have to ask him. It's 2 Artetas to 1 Sam, isn't it? That's how it works.
What do you think? He basically took the job off Slav's job after West Ham as well, but he kept us up. But I still don't understand what's happened to Bilic, why he keeps getting done by Sam Allardyce. He must really hate him. He must have a dartboard at home with his face on it, just throwing darts at I hate you!
Just setting it light in the garden. Alright guys, let's go to the break there, and after we'll cover the other action. See you in a moment.
To keep up to date with the show, follow and contact us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter at Favourite Football Pod. Email us at hello@favouritefootball.com. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/favouritefootball. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star review. Name and shame us.
Welcome back to part 2, so let's go straight back into the remaining Premier League games. So if we start with Friday, we had Everton 0, West Ham 1. Daniel.
Oi.
How do you feel? Good win against an in-form Everton team.
Yeah, I would have taken the 1 point, to be honest, before the game. But the 3 points at the end of it, fantastic. We basically defended so well. It was like two teams defending really well until Thomas Soucek came along and ruined their dreams.
He loves that, doesn't he? Was it 5 goals this season?
Ellis,
Is it 4 or 5 goals, I think?
Yeah, 5 goals.
He can't be stopped.
Top scorer in the Premier
Perfect
League.
box to box.
West Ham.
He gets in there, doesn't he? He does get in there.
Box to box.
Bit of a sort of target man about him when he gets in. He's scored a few headers, isn't he? He's a good player, actually. He's a very good signing. You didn't pay much for him, did you?
No. It was like 25-ish million.
Really?
Like
that. Can't be that expensive, surely.
I think it was about that.
He wasn't much.
Obviously, Ben, you have a little look now. You can tell me about 2 seconds. And then we got the right back as well, Sufel. You know, the Czech Republic.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's a good player as well.
Yeah, he was cheap as chips as well. It was like 2 mil.
Soucek was 15 mil.
It was bloody brilliant.
There you go.
15 mil. Take away 10, what I said.
Well, he's worth 25 now. That's what you're trying to say. Yeah. I hear you, brother.
Yeah, he's worth 100. Cheers, mate. He was looking out for me.
All right, let's move on from that game then. Oh, no, go on, please. Carry on, Daniel. Carry on. Let you have your moment.
Thank you. I'm just going to say West Ham are the best, Everton are the worst. All right, bye. See ya.
All right, thanks. Moving on to the next game then, after that balanced analysis. Manchester United 2 and Villa 1. Now, this game was swayed, wasn't it, by a suspicious penalty. Ben, what do you think of that pen?
VAR rescues Man United again, that's all I'm saying. Literally, how do they keep getting these decisions? I know you're going to, if James Brett was on this show, be like, well, based on the balance of play and the way United dictated, it's going to flow. But
there's a lot of United fans out there, mate. We're in trouble if you carry on like this. But it wasn't a penalty, was it? It wasn't a penalty.
No, if you're giving that as a penalty, then the Werner one from Man City today should have been a penalty because that was very similar to the Pogba one. And it seems like United are getting most of the VAR decisions, and the like last week against Wolves, the last game against Wolves, a lucky deflection, and it's like we always seem to slate United, but they're joint top on points. It's like, how the hell have they got on there?
In fairness, De Gea showed up for this game. It's the first game I've seen them actually look good in a long time.
I think Villa has become such a hard game. They're just the way they attack. I mean, obviously, look what they did to Liverpool, but yeah, I mean, United now joint top goal difference. They're in second rather only on goal difference. I mean, at some point we got to start praising Solskjaer, I suppose. I still can't see.
No.
I still don't.
Yeah, today's not that day.
I still don't understand like what it is he's doing well. I still feel like every time they get a good result, it was some sort of fluke. But at some point, I'll admit defeat. I don't know. We'll see. It's Liverpool, Man United near the end of this month. That's a big game now.
Do you think they practice deflections and light pens on a Wednesday afternoon before the game?
They just seem to get so many penalties.
I think
we spoke to James Brett before, and I think he said something to do with like according to a number of touches they have in the box, it makes sense or something. But I don't know. I just can't see it. I don't know. But I mean, that's nothing new. Stuff at Old Trafford, especially, things go Man United's way. That's been happening since we've all been alive.
Yeah, we can all agree.
You take away Bruno Fernandes. They're rotting.
Oh man, he needs a good injury, doesn't he? He hasn't been injured.
Yeah.
Once again, balance from a Liverpool fan. They're wishing well to Bruno Fernandes. Let's move on, shall we? So let's move on then to Spurs versus Leeds 3-0. So very good win, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess that game was sort of set up for that, right? Because Leeds can only attack, and Spurs are quite good at defending and then doing people on the counter. So it seems like it was only ever going to go that way.
Never thought.
At what point do we start saying that Bielsa is a crap defensive manager? Because all he seems to get is praise.
I think we can say that now if you want.
Yeah.
Is everyone up for that?
The amount of goals they concede is mental.
Yeah, they are conceding serious amount of goals.
To say they're an exciting team to watch.
They are that, yeah.
I think they're kind of holes-nosed bar. They're either in it for the fucking full of it, or they're just going to be shit, and you don't know what he's going to get. It's like they're going to be really, really good, or it's going to be absolutely awful to watch. And I think he's always been a bit like that, Bielsa, where he's got to blitz it the whole time.
Well, he has one way, doesn't he?
So
that's where you get him. He doesn't do anything else.
For the neutrals, though.
Yeah, and also
like every time you watch it, it's like, wow, that's a great.
And I'm pretty sure their objective for this season is just don't get relegated, and they're quite far off getting relegated. So even if they finish blimmin' 18th, sorry, not 18th, how do you not get relegated? 17th. That'll be a great season. Just don't get relegated.
Yeah, and if they had a couple more players, you know, in the second season of being in the Premier League, you think they'd have quite a bit of money to spend, wouldn't they? Or certainly more than they did last window.
Yeah.
So they could add a couple to that, and yeah, clearly they're not going to go, you know, pushing on win the league, but they are exciting. If your team's playing them, you do have that little feeling in your stomach, don't you? Just thinking, oh god, they are capable of ripping you apart.
Oh yeah,
it can happen. So I guess, as you say, as a neutral or whatever, it's a good team to have. Crystal Palace 2, Sheffield United 0. Ben, good win. You were worried that this might be the game where Sheffield United win, but you're a fan.
Yeah, I did bet on Sheffield United to win.
You bet on Sheffield United?
Yeah, I had it. Every Palace fan would have said Sheffield United win, but based on the game, they were absolutely dog shit. Sheffield United, no offence to them, but yeah, they weren't very good, and we kind of took our chances.
Yeah, I mean, it's grim, isn't it, for Sheffield United? Very grim. But should we speak about, before we get onto that, I guess, should we speak about the goal of the game? Wonderful finish, wasn't it? A wonderful run.
Well, I would say goal of the weekend.
Yeah, goal of the year at the moment at this rate, because you know.
It reminded me of
the
one he rolled against. Who was it? I want to say it was Spurs when he hit the post. That was quite similar, wasn't it? Was it that chance where he hit the post? Same sort of thing again, but obviously this time he scored, and yeah, what a goal! Fantastic goal! What a season he's having.
I have a little bit of a question or a point.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, for all your listeners as well, you can maybe put this on our social media, whatever. Wilfried Zaha, all right?
Good or shit?
Bitch slapped. Yeah. Vote now. No, he slapped.
Oh, yeah.
I call that, was it
Bogle?
Bogle? Yeah, I was going to say Kogel. Slapped him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
There should have been a red.
Yeah,
yes.
You can't put your hands up to him. He should have been sent off. Easy.
But how frustrating is that? Because the only reason he wasn't is because the Sheffield player is like a nice guy who just stood up and, you know, if that was some annoying little whine, if that was Bruno Fernandes,
or Lamela
rolling around on the floor for about 20 odd minutes, but it would have worked because Zaha would have got sent off. But we shouldn't need players to do that just for it to be reviewed properly. I can't believe VAR didn't have a better look at that. It's stupid.
Isn't the whole point of that pushed him in the face? Yeah. I mean, it's fucking.
Even if he was sent off, I still couldn't see Sheffield United scoring in a blue moon.
Nah.
Mate, Zaha is a little bitch as well, man.
Whoa!
He's Crystal Palace's little bitch, Dan.
Yeah, he's my little bitch. No, he's just so annoying. He's just so grumpy all the time.
He is really whiny.
Like complains a lot, and he slaps people in the face.
I think he's fuming that he's still playing for Palace.
Yeah,
he's been trying to get out for God knows how long.
Yeah, he wants out. If someone bids for him this month, he'll probably go.
He signed a massive deal though, didn't he? It's going to take some serious money to get him out. Was he 28 now?
He's like 28 on 100 odd grand a week. I mean, what more do you want?
He's pigeonholed himself. He's never get that money anywhere else. Yeah, he doesn't want to be there.
Well, you can get that money, but not the transfer fee.
He's also playing well. You can't leave him on the bench because he's switching goals in.
No, you never could. Let's move on then, obviously, to the other of today's games. Obviously, Burnley-Fulham was postponed, wasn't it? So, yeah, we'll have to see when that's scheduled back in. Just another game to add to the calendar, which should be nice and easy. Moving on from that one, obviously, Newcastle 1, Leicester 2. Leicester really, I mean, the scores, it makes it seem a bit closer than it was, doesn't it, really?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's such a nothing game. I'm sorry, this weekend has been a bit boring. But just because like that's what. Okay, fine. Classic Leicester performance. Did very nice. Madison's finish was really good. Who's the other goal? Was it Tillemans?
Yes, the good finish as well from him.
You know, fair enough. Good finish. Fine. I don't know. Don't care. Uninteresting.
Andy Carroll scored.
Randy Carroll
with the scissor shot.
That's a bit of novelty there, but Dan, you must be happy to hear that Andy Carroll getting on the score sheet. One of your favourites, elbows.
Love him. I love elbows, yeah.
He scored with his foot this time.
Elbows.
It was a bit sad. That was finally his first goal back for Newcastle, and it was when they were 2-0 down, and like no one even celebrated. Poor bloke.
I reckon he's on because I think he's on pay to play, isn't he? And I reckon he's got a big fat goal bonus, so he's probably just like fucking yes. It's been a big Christmas. That should
That's
sort
his
us
first
out.
Prem goal for Newcastle since Boxing Day 2010.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. He has played for other clubs since then.
Obviously. But my point is, though.
That'd be a great striker conversion rate. 1 goal every 10 years as a striker. That'd be well good.
It's
What are you
Benteke
talking about Benteke?
Mate, leave
Can't even diss him.
Benteke's out of this. He's been a man in form.
Benteke's. Thank God you didn't sell him, eh? We all said that, so don't go back and listen. Let's move on then to another game, and this is in Scotland, the Old Firm Derby, and a few of us watched this because it's more exciting this year, isn't it? And Rangers won. It's a massive win. 19 points ahead. Celtic do have 3 games in hand, but even if they did win all them, of course, there's still 10 points in it. Can it finally happen?
I just pray he doesn't let it slip from there, because my goodness, he just needs a league title, bless him.
Don't use the word slip, Ellis. It's like,
I know, that was insensitive, sorry about that. If he keeps succeeding at Rangers, it's set up so perfectly, because Klopp's not going to do another 5 years at Liverpool, I don't think. And if it all just works out that Klopp leaves Gerrard in, that'll just be like some fairy tale shit. But you know, he deserves credit, because Celtic have been so ridiculously dominant in that league for a long time now, and they've got a 19-point lead. That's crazy.
If he lets that slip, then he deserves to retire from management.
God bless him.
Well, I mean, if you look at their stats from this season, and as you say, obviously Celtic, been the dominant team in that league for however long, and that's the only reason, by the way, I think we're more supportive of Rangers on this podcast. We certainly don't hate Celtic. Next year, we'll probably want Celtic to win Rangers win, so we'll see. But I mean, 22 games, they've won 20, drawn 2, lost none. Goals 4, 57. Goals against 5. 5 goals. It is amazing, isn't it?
You can say what you want about the standard in that league, because I'm aware that, I think basically every other team are League 2 worthy, but it still takes some doing, and so it's nice to see him doing such a good job. I feel like that's a really good kind of, how Lampard was at Derby. I feel like Lampard could have maybe used a few more years at Derby, or maybe even a slightly lower standard than Derby even, whereas he's been chucked straight into the fire with Chelsea. It'd be like if Stevie took the Liverpool job, the summer just gone or something. It's a bit too early for their sort of development.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. 100%. I think if he comes with more experience,
and
then he'd feel a bit more comfortable in himself and his decisions.
And he's built a serious team. If you look at some of the quality, like Ryan Kent does absolute bits for them. He came from Liverpool. And Defoe, I think, even comes on and scores goal. What's their striker that gets red carded like every other game?
Oh, Morelos, he's a dirty bastard, he is. But you love him in your team.
Finisher,
yeah, you love him in your team, but he's a dirty bastard.
Some bits.
Yeah.
But I was just seeing in The Athletic that apparently Chelsea are looking at alternatives to Lampard.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean,
that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's got end of the season. You got to give him at least at the end of the season before you even say or think anything.
He needs a full season to sort that team out. It's all brand new.
Well, I guess if you've pumped, how much did they spend? 200 million,
220
million.
Yeah. We still managed to get a profit though of 35 mil as a club somehow.
Yeah,
so how much we're selling.
I guess, he just looks at it financially, doesn't he? And if you're not going to make that money back in the Champions League, if you don't even make Europa League, then Jesus. But a long way to go. But just going back to the Celtic Rangers game quickly, it wasn't the most exciting game, was it? Obviously, an exciting win, but Celtic really fell apart a bit when they got that red card, didn't they? And from that moment on, really, you just thought it's just meant to be. And the own goal as well, the sort of deflection. It was a tough day for Celtic, wasn't it? And for Neil Lennon, who's no doubt under even more pressure at the moment.
I mean, they've had more than their fair share of success and fun. These things come in cycles.
Yeah, I mean, how hard can it be winning 9 league titles in a row?
Yeah,
doesn't matter, mate. You had a good last game, so obviously they're the worst.
It's not going to be long before they're winning the league again. Let's be honest. How can you be a lifelong fan of the Scottish Premier League? It must be so boring.
Not if you.
The views are nice.
All right, then, guys. Let's move on from that and finish the pod.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, bye, guys. See
you later. Do one. No, thanks so much for listening. Now, obviously, we're back to normal, so you can have the extra time when we have the Monday game, and we'll keep you up to date with everything else. And we're just going to carry on as we did last year. Get your reviews in, as I said, for your chance to be read out. And anyone else got anything they want to ask of the wonderful listener?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice for them to send a question in. send a random fact or question so we can discuss it on the pod. Yeah?
Yeah, do
It's
that.
at Faith Football. Or Faith Football Pod, sorry. We'll do that again, shall we?
Don't send it to that.
I'm not a speaker.
Yeah, okay, so if you obviously you can, all the links are underneath the show notes, so you can message us on Instagram or email us or however you want. Okay, thanks so much for listening and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
So yeah.